Okay, so this is a little complicated. I'm hoping to get that part to work right there. So, never done one of these before, but I want these two wheels to roll just like these two, and then it should flip. Yeah, there's a hope we can get it fixed. We'll see. I think we're getting pretty close. But now we've got all of the wheelies turning, and let's see if it's all apart. Oh, there it is. So here I am preparing to work on the car. I'm going to be doing some interesting flipping of the tires and the body of the frame to show you what the car is supposed to do. But also, I'm filling out how tight the wheels are on the vehicle and why the gears will not turn to allow the wheels to turn. I must say, this part looks super silly, but this is a part of the process of figuring out how to get this vehicle to work correctly. And then I'm going to aim at the on switch so we can really get to work on seeing the wheels turn with the remote. As with anything in life, if we want success, we have to take the first step. If you want to get things done, you can't just sit around and dream and plan and think. You have to actually do the work of making the commitment to take the steps to get things done. Now, for me, the first step starts with prayer in anything that I'm doing. I always want to seek and ask God to help me, give me clarity and direction. I had that happen the other day. I had all these business ideas flying through my mind, and I had to pause and say, man, Lord, you gave me the gift of thinking this way. Help me to know which way to go. So for me, it starts with praying first and seeking God first to see which way I need to go. And then I begin to take steps. I make plans. I talk to other people. I get my wise counsel around me to see. And so with this car, it's no different. I'm having to take steps to figure out what's going on, right? I have to just take the first steps. I'd never done this before. It's my first time working on a car like this. And I could have went and easily just bought a new one, but I said, let me dive into this and just, this is a little hobby. So I'm pretty mechanically inclined. And so I didn't think it'd be too much of an issue to try to take it apart. But I knew when I got to the gears, that would be probably a lot more difficult. And I had it in mind. There's a good chance that maybe this wouldn't have got fixed. Maybe maybe I wouldn't have been able to figure out the issue. And these parts would be used for scrap. But let's go. At this point, I felt that I knew what the issue was. And so now that I fully had a better understanding of the issue, I began to take off the screws. Now, this part could get real complicated, but I knew if I wanted to get this thing fixed, I was going to have to dive deeper into the issues to get to the bottom of our problem. What you may have missed there as I was taking off of the cover for the gearbox is that three or four of the gears fell out as immediately as I took off the gearbox. And the big issue with this is that I had no clue how to put this thing back together. I'd never seen a schematic, just never. And I've said that a few times before, but this is just the first time. And so once again, as I'm assessing these gears and really beginning to get an understanding of what's happening, and as I'm now turning my finger on the actual gear itself, that the main driving motor gear, you'll see that I get a breakthrough, and I can see now that it's I can see what I need to do. So I'm taking off that last part of the gearbox because I noticed that, man, I got to get this gear to turn. If I'm going to fix this thing, it's going to be right here at the gear. So I start taking off the last three screws so I can reach the connection to the motor and the gear.
I think I might have got it fixed.
Okay, feeling confident that I have got the gear loosened up, I felt that it was time to start reassembling the wheels and the gears. And so I began to reassemble all of the pieces and components, lots of small screws. I did my best to keep my hands out of the way, but as you can see, it was a bit of a struggle, and I do not have the right tools just yet. I'll have to make a small investment. Listen to this. Now, this next part is the part that I was extremely nervous about, seeing as I did not have a schematic for how the gears were appropriately supposed to be installed on this unit. But I began to make my effort to reassemble the gears one by one, and it took many different tests. I had to cut and really just try my best to reassemble it using knowledge from different mechanical operations that I've had while I've been working on houses and things like that, and motors and HVAC. And so I was able to get it right. And now you see the gear slowly trying to turn because I do not have it completely assembled correctly. Because all of the gears are not in properly, I'm having a difficult time installing the faceplate that goes where the wheels are supposed to be installed. And it takes me just a while to figure out how to get the gears installed properly so that the faceplate will sit properly. But check out this test here. As you can see now, all the gears are beginning to turn correctly in the test. And that's not all the gears. There's still 2 more gears that needed to be attached and assembled. And so, but it was a joy seeing those gears turn in such a seamless fashion. And it really got me excited to know that I was going to be able to get this thing fully put back together. I was going to have to do a lot of thinking, but this was a great time of thinking and analyzing and trying to figure out some things. It took a lot of patience and perseverance to push through. And if nothing else for me, this is a practice of patience. What I was finding here is that the gears still were not operating correctly because I did not have them installed correctly. So I had to keep readjusting, and I was only putting 1 or 2 screws because I knew I would have to go back and take out a lot of screws.
Okay, so this is a little complicated. I'm hoping to get that part to work right there. So never done one of these before, but you know, we want these 2 wheels to roll just like these 2, and then it should flip. Yeah, there's a hope we can get it fixed. We'll see. I think we're getting pretty close, but now we've got all of the wheelies turning, and see if it's all apart. Oh, there it is. Okay, so let's try this one more time, just real quick, so you can see it. There it is. So the pulleys will start falling off because they're not tight, but that's how it's supposed to look. Obviously, this side over here has to be tightened down for sure. We're gonna see. It's pretty interesting.
One thing I know for sure is that these little small components were way too small for my fingers and ultra greasy. There was oil to lubricate and keep the motor turning, which I had to actually spread out to the main gearbox. But then you can just see from the test that it is a struggle trying to keep everything together. I had to turn it sideways to ensure that as I was testing the gears, it didn't fall. And then I just repositioned all the gears until I figured out how to get them to flow in order. I mean, you want one gear turning the next gear. It's like locking arms and needing to stay locked together in order to cause things to flow. They have to be balanced and they have to be properly installed so that they will work smoothly. Lots and lots of small things. In time, I'm going to study more schematics of these units. It's like putting together a puzzle, but you actually get to use the puzzle when you get done. So if you're wondering why am I taking time to do this, this is my method of puzzles. Finally, relief. I got it. I could see both sides turning. I knew I had accomplished the mission and I knew it was time to start putting all the screws in. The faceplate was sitting correctly, just like the other side. I was able to use the other side as a visual representation of how it was supposed to look. And so now I begin to put all the screws back in, fully sealing down the faceplate for the gears so that I can now get the wheels back on and finish up this project. Wow, there it is. Nothing like accomplishing the mission. I feel so good at this moment for this being my first time. I'm looking forward to a lot more opportunities to do this kind of stuff. Okay, so do you like that car now? It's working now? So what do we do to fix it? That stuff? It doesn't flip? Are you gonna take it off the ramp pretty soon? Okay.